JSA issue 4, Jeff Lemire writing with JOEY VASQUEZ on the art. So, yeah, I mean, this has been an interesting book in that it's not been maybe the home run that perhaps Jeff Lemire on a JSA book sounded like it could be. I do think in some ways this is the best issue so far, because it's a bit more focused. It kind of just sticks to a couple of characters and shows you their parts of the story. Well, and I think one of the big complaints I had of those first 3 issues is that it was jumping around so many characters that you only got 1 or 2 little scenes with each one, and then that was it. Here, you know, we're with Dr. Midnight, and we see her kind of like figure out where she is, you know, get away from Grundy, go sneaking around, hear some of the villains' plans, all that kind of thing. And it feels that we're really sticking with her for an extended period of time. And she naturally says, okay, where the hell's the real Obsidian then? And then that leads us into the second plot of the issue, which is where Obsidian is and how he's been kind of held captive. And they've basically just been putting him back to sleep every day and making him forget who he is in some hospital bed. And we know time passes because the first time we see it, he's just
clean shaven.
He's clean shaven, yeah. And then the next time he wakes up, he's got a full beard. That said, though, I do think there's an implication maybe that all of this is in a simulation by the end, because you see him sitting in the chair with the big thing on his head. So I think that all this hospital stuff where he's trying to like fight out of it is like just in his head. It's just them, because you know the one doctor dude like duplicates at one point when he's running around and trying to fight.
Yeah.
So
I went, oh man, we got multiplex. That's where my brain went first.
I mean, maybe it is. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
it could be him.
You know, but no. Like parroting everything that you've said, the focus is what worked here for me, because we really got to hang out with Dr. Midnight as she goes through, you know, the Injustice Societies, like, you know, their, I guess, lair would be the right word, right? Wherever they're operating out of, and having to use her wits, right? And like, she knows it's Grundy there because of the smell, right? Because it smells like old water and like dirt and like swampy and whatever, you know. So just to see that perspective and have her go through and you know, that, yeah, she was also trained by Ted Grant, right? So she knows how to throw a punch. So all that stuff was fun. And then when we get to the Obsidian stuff, it was kind of split, and not down the middle exactly, but then we get to focus on Obsidian and how, you know, where's he been if Johnny Sorrow has been impersonating him, right?
Yeah. And he runs into Jakeem in the hospital, and either he's hooked up to the same simulation, because obviously he tries to summon thunder and he can't. And that would explain why he can't, because he's not really in the world. There's also a possibility that it's not really Jakeem and he's just kind of like, this is just in the simulation. But I think I'm inclined to think that he is here. Like this is at least, you know, mentally he is here, and they are running into each other. But I mean, I could be proven wrong on that with future reveals. But yeah, you know, so basically whatever they're planning, they want the Spear of Destiny, they want the Fate Helmet, they've got some big concoction. Midnight's realizing just how big in scale all this is, and she does find Obsidian hooked up to something in a chair and tries to rip it off, but that's when oh god, I don't even know. All these villains are like all these C-tier villains that I don't know. the lady who has the claw from the team,
that is Scandal Savage, Vandal Savage's daughter.
Do you know what, Matt? You could have given me 10 guesses and I would not have guessed Scandal Savage once.
Someone didn't read Secret Six back in the day.
I did not read Secret Six. I admit that. You're correct in that assumption. Maybe I also want to forget the name Scandal Savage exists. That may also be part of it.
The name's not great, but she's a great character, at least in Secret Six. We'll see here.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the issue ends with her like beating Dr. Midnight, and she's got her down, foot in her throat at the end. Yeah. So, yeah, this was I think this was better. Like, I don't think it was like a knockout issue, but I think it's veering in the right direction. It does feel weird to only start to feel this though at part 4 of the arc, as opposed to, you know, earlier.
Yeah, I felt like it was spread out to kind of show the scope, so Lemire could now focus on this.
Yeah. Right.
And kind of, it definitely feels like Obsidian's the main character, kind of, because he's the, you know, the kind of crucial to everything that's been going on.
I don't know if we know he's the main character of the arc, but I mean, it's certainly weird if he's the main character, because he's not shown up till issue 4, really. But
the main character's not the right word. but the main kind of focus, because I feel like the fact that he is part of the darkness, right? And so whatever the villains are up to, he's, you know, the not the key, but he's what it's flowing through, right? Because he's, you know, he spent that time kind of as a villain, right? So he's a bit more susceptible to whatever they're doing, you know, and that's why they used him to get to the Justice Society. But yeah, the focus has definitely helped. You know,
Yeah.
Not that I ever doubted Jeff Lemire, but I was getting to the point I was like, do I just read this and trade later? Right? This is the one that is gonna keep me going at least to the first arc.
I mean, I just feel like the arc wasn't really hooking me yet, but there's always the potential that it'll just get better with arc 2. I do think this is the best issue of this arc so far, though. Even though it still doesn't feel important. It still kind of feels like it's, you know, C tier Jeff Lemire. That's kind of like where it feels right now. So, yeah. I mean, we'll see where it keeps going. Maybe once it settles a little bit. I do wonder if starting with a smaller story, just to sort of like really introduce his versions of all these characters and get the chemistry between them all popping, would have been a better choice. It does kind of feel like an arc that's like the second or third arc of a book, but we started here for some reason. So none of the connections to these versions of the characters have been established yet, and it's kind of made it hard to try and get into. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got.
How did you feel about Vasquez's art?
Lukewarm, I think, is maybe the best way of putting that. I think it's not terrible by any means, but I do find it a little bit kind of light on detail at times. Like sometimes the faces feel like they're a little bit flat and maybe a little more cartoony than I would appreciate. I think the environments, the backgrounds feel also a little bit simplistic at times. You know? Yeah.
It's a bit compared to Ortiz, it's weird that they jump to Vasquez just because like the Ortiz stuff is like almost overly detailed, and here this is kind of sparse, you know? So it's just it's an odd pairing, but I pulled up Vasquez did art for the Magnificent Miss Marvel, which I feel like that style fits that character a little bit better than it does for some JSA things. So, but yeah, I thought it was mostly okay, like the art here.
Yeah, I didn't hate it, but I wouldn't say this is like the lower end of house style, I guess, if I was to say anything. But the smiles and the mouths and the characters definitely feel like a Saturday morning cartoon kind of like thing they were going for. Which is good in a sense because they're expressive, but it's maybe a bit over the top at times as well.
Yeah, I get that.
So, no, it was okay art. That's where I fall on it. So, all right, what are you giving JSA?
I'm gonna give this a 7.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. And you know, some of my ratings for the past issues might have even been a little off because I do think this is a 7, and I do think it's the best one. So if I rated any of them higher than that, then it was optimistic at the time, I guess. Yeah.